How can you be alone whilst in a crowd of people? Well, is it another of these aspects of grief that you're just never prepared for? Let's find out. Hello, welcome to another episode of Linda's Legacy All Around the Coast. I'm Robert, and I started this channel following the passing of my partner Linda in December last year. On this channel, we trace my journey through grief, how I'm coping or not, and we chat about ways that grief and the grieving process is affecting me in my life. And also we take a walk, generally around Norfolk, and 2027 I'll be taking a much longer walk. I'm going to walk the entire coastline of Great Britain in aid of charity, and all in memory and in honour of my Linda. Today I've taken a short circular walk around the local area of Brancaster. It follows the Norfolk Coast Path over to the next village of Titchwell and then back again. Just a few short miles this week, but I thought, well, it's a nice day, it's not too hot, so let's just see how we get on and have a chat as we go. So let's just rewind ever so slightly back to the starting point back in Brancaster. Okay, here we are in Brancaster in Norfolk, and today we're going to have a wander up the Norfolk Coast Path and back round to Titchwell. And as we come out of the centre here of the village, or the village green as it is, head over this way and we come to the signpost, which tells us we're actually on the coast path even though we're heading inland here. There we go, Norfolk Coast Path, Brancaster circular walk 5 miles. Well, we won't actually be doing the whole 5 miles today. I'll see how far it is and work it out later. So as we start off out of the village, we're heading up. It's normally very quiet, but just the odd car at this time of day. Right, so here we go. And although this is actually a road for traffic, it's now part of the coast path. And we've got loads and loads of poppies opening up at the moment, which is all really scenic. And if we just have a look back that way to the church there we go. So we'll head up the hill a little way. There's poppies and flowers all over the place coming out at the moment, which is really nice. Lovely time of year in this area. And we'll take a little stop about here and just take that view in again. So down past all the old cottages, church in the distance. That's amazing, isn't it? There we go. So we'll carry on. Here we go, round and round. Right, we'll carry on up the hill. So the signpost there, it said the 5 mile circular walk. And what it actually encompasses is that we come up the hill here, go across some fields and back down to the village of Titchwell. And then what you can do is head down another lane towards the beach, to Brancaster Beach. But I'm not actually going to do that bit today. We'll just go straight back to the village. The beach here is somewhere that I haven't been to for a long time. When Linda passed, I did go there. I went to our sort of special place where we always would sit and enjoy view, watch the seals or just watch the sea and the waves. But I haven't found that, or I have found rather, that I haven't been able to go back there currently. It's just too emotional and a bit too painful. So hopefully I'll be able to go there again at some point soon, because it's a pity to live this close to one of the best beaches in the country and not be able to take advantage of it. But I just really can't bring myself to do that right now. So anyway, we'll head on up the hill a bit and take in another view. It's half term and late May bank holiday week at the moment. And to be perfectly honest, Brancaster is not the place to be for some of that time, particularly the bank holiday. It was absolutely so full of people. And although that's wonderful to bring people in, there's always a minority who got no consideration for others, park their cars all over the footpaths, which is no help if you're trying to push a pram or a buggy. And the general sound of Brancaster on a bank holiday day is the hooting and beeping of cars. But now the bank holiday is gone, we've still got loads of holiday makers here and people in their second homes. And the weather has been absolutely incredible, up to about 28, 29 degrees. Didn't quite get to 30 here, because obviously we're at the sea and there's always a breeze. But it's very lovely. And in the field behind there, it's got loads of large daisies all popped up, which is amazing. And you may or may not be able to see the sea back down the lane, just in the distance. There we go. I've got slightly further up the hill now, and I'm just going to take a little detour here, because off the track here, and this little opening opens up to one of the most amazing views. And there's a sea obviously in the distance. You can see Titchwell Church just sort of, there we go, through the gap in the hedges there. And what a lovely day. Have you ever heard people say how Norfolk is flat? Well, I think that's clearly by people who've never been here, because if you go along the coast, obviously it's flat because you're at sea level, but everywhere inland is uphill for a good couple of miles, and some of the hills are quite steep. But anyway, you get to see the sea on quite a few occasions, which is great. And I know it's not particularly hilly, it's certainly not mountainous. And I know that the terrain, when I go around the whole of the British coast, is going to be very varied and very interesting. I've yet to find somewhere that's more beautiful than the area around Brancaster. But I set the challenge around the country and around Great Britain. If anywhere is more beautiful, more amazing, I'll be very impressed. Obviously, I'm incredibly biased, and this was Linda's favourite place, so obviously it has a major place in my heart as well. We were here for over 5 years, 5.5, a bit longer, and we had some amazing times here. So many walks, miles and miles, inland, out to sea, all around the local area, further afield. Amazing place. And we're still going upwards anyway for now. Another little cut through here. I'll just turn you around. That's the way I'm going, up the hill. We've got a little bit through to the field here, which is interesting. So again, it opens out to the most incredible view. Some slight wispy clouds today. That's quite glorious. And then there's a little track through here. You see again how it's hilly up and down, but yeah, that will take us out. And see those three silos, whatever, in the distance? We'll come back to those later. We're still going uphill. I know it's not much, but it is upwards. Those of you that may have walked this part of the coast path before, you've probably noticed as you come up this lane, there's some unusual things up here. There, for instance, a little horse box, which, being taken over by the undergrowth, has been here for some considerable time. And all vehicles and a caravan. Yeah, just looking back down where we've come now, and there is a caravan there, but don't go knocking, it's somebody's home. Right, so here we are, and just to show we're still on the coast path. This is as far as we're going today. This is the top of the hill. And round the corner, let's see if there's a view. That's where we're going now. and at this point there's not too much of a view. It's just about make out the sea in the distance, but we'll see it again in a moment. So my question I posed, can you feel alone whilst in a crowd? And yes, you can, whilst you're grieving somebody who's so important to you and your whole life is taken over by everything that's happened like that. You certainly can. It's one of those effects that you don't realise until it happens. I'm very fortunate that I have not been previously susceptible to anxiety or panic attacks or anything like that. Very, very fortunate in that way. But nowadays, heading to anywhere like the city or where I went on the weekend, I'll talk about, and it's just so many people, and it's just too much for me at the moment. So on Sunday I went over to Sandringham again, to the Royal Estate, where there was a classic car show, the Pageant of Motoring. I took a day out there, and it was actually a really good show. Loads and loads of cars. It was one of the hottest days that we've had. It was well, I don't know, getting up to 30 degrees, a little bit more inland, slightly there. But the sun was out, I was baked, I absolutely melted. Even my ice cream melted before I could finish it. But yeah, it was a absolutely packed show. And as you're walking along through the lines of cars, and in some areas, it's just so many people about. And all of a sudden, I got the feeling of being enclosed whilst in an open space. It feels like, excuse me, it feels like all of the people that are out there are all looking at me, and I know they're not, they don't care, but it just feels like that everybody that's out there is looking at me and staring at me and judging me, and the feeling you get is of being totally alone, got no one to hold their hand or no one to just talk to. And the feeling that, say, that everybody is almost out to get you, and I know they're not, it's very silly, but that's how you feel, or how I feel. And I had that in Norwich a few weeks ago, when it was I know, quite late afternoon. Everybody was starting to come out from schools and work and everything, and it was, in my opinion, packed. Now, those of you that live in larger cities will completely disagree with that, but yeah, you'll see from all these walks I take, it's normally just me and the odd dog walker or the odd jogger. But to have the huge amount of people around, it's quite upsetting at the moment, and that's something that I'd never encountered before all this happened, and it's really quite weird, quite challenging for me. So on Sunday, I was trying to have a nice day and, you know, enjoy looking at all the cars and the other things that were going on. Maybe talk to a couple of the owners, which was all very interesting, very good. And yeah, you just get completely overwhelmed by the huge amount of people that were about. It all seemed to be homing in on me. So what could I do? Well, I don't know what I could do, actually. What I did do was just try and take myself away to a I say to a quiet corner. There wasn't really a quiet corner. Away from the majority of people, that's the main thing. And just try and zone in on something else. Look on my phone, do something like that. Just to try and take away the feeling that everybody's there, everybody's watching, everybody's out to get me. Just have a little pause here. Have a little view down toward the sea there. It really is a wonderful day. Oh, hello. There we go. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what the answer is when you have a situation like that, because ideally I would have taken myself right out of the situation and right out of the huge group of people. But I just paid a lot of money to come in, and I really wanted to see lots of the exhibits. So yeah, wander off to a bit of a quieter area, try and not pay attention to the fact that there's all these people there, and get your mind onto something else. And eventually then you can sort of go back into it. And I had to do that 2 or 3 times actually, because it just gets a little bit too much. It suddenly dawns on you. You could be walking up some aisles of old cars, enjoying what I'm looking at and having a nice time, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at all these people, they're all coming for me. And apart from the fact that it seems like they are all coming for me, which I know they weren't, it's absolutely intense feeling of being completely and utterly on my own in this whole crowd of people. It's like they weren't people, it's like they were all something else, and I was the only person there alone in this field with all these other things or whatever coming at me. But I felt so incredibly alone. And it's when you then get the feelings that, yep, this is it, you are alone deep inside, nobody to share the moment with, even if it's something as simple as, would you like an ice cream? Shall we go and buy a burger or whatever? Let's just talk to yourself. And talking to myself is what I do a lot. Although I think I can get away with it because I'm actually talking to all of you, aren't I? So it's slightly different. So, yeah, I think that's okay. But yeah, it was a pity because I was looking forward to the day out, and it was a good day out. But there was just these few times where it just got all a bit too much. I wonder if some of that was the fact that I was back in a place that I know, a place where I've been with Linda many times. Because as I said about not going to the beach here, that's one of those strange things where some places that we used to go all the time, I just can't go now. It's too emotional, too upsetting. But weirdly, other places I have been to. I mean, I've taken you with me to the Sandringham House, to Holcombe, to the Walled Garden, to other places. And when I go there the first time on my own, the first time since Linda passed, it's there's a lot of mental struggle leading up to it, where I don't know whether I should go or not, and whether it's going to be a bad experience or not. But I found that when I do push myself, it's actually okay that first time. But then when I've done that, what I then find is that, okay, right, I've done that now, I don't need to do it again. Whether I'm proving something to myself, whether I'm, I don't know, proving to Linda that yes, I can go back here even without you, I don't know. But it's very strange. I've been back to the beach, not for a long time now though. I went quite soon after Linda passed, and I spent a lot of time just sitting, watching the waves. It was winter, there was no one else about, it was freezing and blowing a gale, so I just sit and at the sand dune and play some music or look at some pictures or whatever, and then look out at the waves and the views. But I really, really don't want to do that now. And as you know, I spend most of the time walking around the whole of the area here, but I found my places, my areas now. I mean, we walked the boardwalk many, many times before it was built up, and when it was just two tracks of basically railway sleepers and very awkward to get about on. And nowadays, obviously, it's my daily commute, and I go there literally every day, and I take you with me most of the time, and it's fine. And there are benches there that I sit on, and it's places that between us we never I don't think we ever sat on what's become my bench, but it's my little sanctuary now, somewhere that almost every day I have a sit and think about Linda and talk to her. So it's like I've taken my own little places in areas that were ours, and I've got my ones now, which I obviously, as I say, I share with Linda because I talk to her there. But the places that we shared together physically, very difficult indeed. But I will go back to the beach at some point. but not today. Right, we are now at the next, tell you what, let's turn you around. There we go. Right, so the Norfolk Coast Path heads off that way, and there's a circular walk coming this way. So across here, there's the tower and the windmills that we could see from that view across the other field. And there's the view out to sea. It's got a slight haze there today, but the colours are absolutely amazing. The sea to the sky is really great, and the field colour with the sun on the crop there is so wonderful. I don't know how much of that is coming out on here, but the yellowness of the crop, even though it's green, that makes no sense, but I know what I mean. Let's try again. There's a yellower shade to the green of the crop, and the contrast there to the sky is wonderful. So we'll just head out to the lane here. I would say road, but it's yeah, okay. So that way is north, that's to the sea. That way is east, that's where we've come along the footpath. South will eventually bring you out at docking, and west. And if I again, here I am, right now. So looking there to the west, that eventually comes out at Thornham, and then you rejoin the coast path rejoins the actual sort of sea wall as such. It's not a wall, it's a hedge, it's a track, but you're basically heading back nearer to the sea, because at the moment we're quite far inland, as you can see from up the hill, or from the view from the hill. We're quite far inland, but that's because as you get near the sea, it's all marshes. Obviously the Brancaster boardwalk is a purpose-made solid walking area. At Titchwell you've got the RSPB, so you can obviously access that, but again it's all marshes and ponds and all sorts, and so you have to go all the way to Thornham before you come out back at the sea. And from there onwards you then follow the sea much closer all the way around to Holme, to Hunstanton, and then, well, we'll see where it goes then another day. Okay, so that's the way to Thornham, and we're going to go that way, which is north, and that'll take us to Titchwell and toward the sea, and we'll continue on this path. Now just down here there's well, it should be a gate, but it's all slightly overgrown with the ivy now. We've sat on there and had a little rest and a drink and little munch there in the past, but there we go. But looking through all the way at Scolt Head Island out there, and on top of that hill is where I was just the other week. There you go. But moving on, and there's the sea again. What a view. Bit of a view spot here, so we've got the sea in front of us, Titchwell Church, and then this way we look back towards Brancaster and Scolt Head Island, and then over this way we should be able to see all the way to Thornham and possibly beyond. And lots of poppies in the edge of the field, which is good. So there's Titchwell down that way, and then moving across towards Thornham in the distance. Amazing views all around in every direction. I'll get on now. So one advantage of all that uphill walking that I did at the start of this is that it's all downhill now. Yeah, it's a fair bit easier on the downhill, although it pulls on the back of your legs a little bit more. There we go. So how has my week been? Not too bad this week. Okay, there was the car show, which I've talked about, and how I came a little bit unstuck with all the crowds of people. But aside from that, as I say, it's a bank holiday weekend and everything, and it's been good. I've worked lots of days. I've been keeping myself busy. Walk loads, obviously. Still averaging sort of 15,000 steps a day most of the time, even in sandals, which wasn't good in the heat the other day. Yeah. So yeah, it's not been too bad this week at all. There's Friday's always the issue. Friday being the day of the week that Linda passed away, and every Friday I come a little bit unstuck again. Don't want to go home, don't want to be reminded and everything. Although I did get a weird sort of flashback yesterday to that terrible night. Just a short one, but it was odd. It wasn't a visual flashback, it was a sort of a physical feeling, and yeah, that was weird. But these things happen on a quite regular basis. I just sort of deal with them as you go, as they happen. That's what I tend to do. I don't know whether at some point they'll get less as time goes on. I don't know. In some ways that will be weird, because sort of thing to make me feel close to Linda again. I don't know. It's very strange, this whole grieving business. What happens to you and what you go through emotionally and physically and everything. Very strange. Anyway, we're heading down the hill towards the village of Titchwell. And obviously you've got the sea that way. I'll just go over. It's all very good. Now down here, very interesting place. It's an old chalk pit. And I think you can't actually access this at the moment. I believe it's being made safe, because it did get a little bit unsafe at the moment at one point. So you can see they've got all new gates going in, and there's a lovely walk there and everything. In fact, it is open. I misread the sign. It is actually open again. All right. Well, we'll be going there very soon, because I haven't got time today, sadly. But there is a wonderful little walk around there. Tell you what, change my mind. I'll make time. Let's have a little wander. So yeah, this was a chalk pit in Roman times, and over the years it became, I suppose, emptied out of all the usefulness that they were mining from it, and eventually it ended up as just a rubbish tip for the local area. And at some point someone discovered that this was a lovely place to actually come up and have a walk and have some excellent viewing benches. God, look at this old tree stump. That's wacky. So put new nesting boxes up. But yeah, it became very, very distressed around here. It was almost impossible to walk around. It was very dangerous, and so it's been closed for all the work being done. And a new bench has gone in there with a pretty epic view across Titchwell. A picnic bench, that's very nice. We shall come back here with some sandwiches at some point. Now this one, this is where I've sat with Linda on several occasions, because we did manage to take our lives in our hands and walk up here up the steps that were no longer there. But it's good. The hedge has all been managed a lot better, so you can actually see out now, which is really nice. And although, do excuse me, let's get some decent visuals in. Although I was saying about how I don't like to go back to places I've been with Linda, this has completely taken me by surprise. I didn't realise this was open again. And we've sat here with a flask of tea or coffee and some biscuits and things to eat so many times. And you'd always be the only person here because, as I say, it was all sort of, it wasn't no access, but it was very difficult to get up here. The steps and everything all sort of fell apart over the years, and the overgrown trees and bushes and everything at some parts of the year, you just couldn't get up here. But this is somewhere we came quite a few times, and I'm actually really, really happy to be sitting here because this brings back some memories of us sitting together, and happy memories today. I'm doing okay. Yeah, Linda loved this as a view out. Let's just take in the view again. There. You can see all the way across to Thornham. And back down. Towards Titchwell. What a lovely day. Yeah, I shall definitely be bringing my flask and some things to eat and coming here again. Maybe you'd like to join me. There's been so much work go on here. It's absolutely incredible. It was so overgrown. And yeah, in the past, this was just the whole place was a rubbish dump. It was not quite filled in, but absolutely totally abused as a place of nature at one point, back in the days when people didn't really care so much about such things. But then, yeah, it was it the 90s? Was it early 2000s? I'm not sure. It was a proper place you could come to. But this, they've done so much work here. I'm so impressed. Let's see if I can, I'll tell you what, we'll pause here, otherwise you'll be bouncing all the way down these steps. Oh, there we go. Right, so another picnic table. And in fact, you can almost make out here how it has been quarried out over the years, because the sides, they're almost vertical, aren't they? Tree bin left there to go back to nature. What a beautiful place. Just me and the birds, apparently. Well, I honestly wasn't expecting this today. I knew they'd been doing some work here, but I didn't realise at all that it was now reopened again. And that is absolutely astonishing. Yeah, I'll definitely be back here, and I'll bring you with me. Well, there's an awful lot of poppies coming up now, which is really lovely. There's so many poppies in this area. And in fact, just around the corner here, the field seems to be quite full of them. There we go, Chalk Pit Lane. Look at all those, aren't they lovely in the sunshine? Wonderful. Linda loved poppies and daisies. Right, make sure I don't get run over. Away we go. And just a quick view back at Titchwell Church, which is one of the round towers, Anglo-Saxon tower churches. There's quite a lot around here, but they're a bit of a rarity across the country. And this is Gypsy Lane, and this is the way you would go if you were heading down towards the beach, which we're not going to do today, as we've already discussed, but that's the way through there. As you can see, it's part of our circular walk. I think that's the option on the circular walk today. Let's go. Here we are, back again. I've got to slow down now, apparently. That way to the beach. And we're going that way. And here we are, back again at the village green, where we started not that long ago. So we'll head over to the finish point for us. And there we go, back at the signpost. So there we are. So that was the Brancaster circular walk up to the Norfolk Coast Path, down to Titchwell via the chalk pits and back to Brancaster. So there we go. That was a really nice little walk, one I've taken lots of times with Linda actually. It just takes an hour or so out of our time, get out into nature, listen to the birds, maybe see a deer or two in the fields, which I have done. And yeah, it's really nice way to spend an afternoon or an evening. So thanks for watching today, and I'd just like to take the opportunity of thanking you so much, everybody that just watches and subscribes and shares these videos and that sent me comments. I really enjoy receiving comments from people and being able to have little chats with you, particularly those of you that, like me, are going through some really difficult times right now. So thanks for all that, it's been really great. And that's it for this week. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode. And remember, it is a beautiful day. Make the most of it if you can. Take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you all soon. See ya.